Before you consider buying the Jackery Explorer 500, seriously take a look at the Bluetti EB55 battery pack. Let me tell you why it's a better choice. First off, if you haven't figured it out yet, this video is not sponsored. I bought the Bluetti EB55 with my own money, and I never actually bought the Jackery, which is why I have a piece of paper. First big difference, the Jackery only has 3 USB ports. They're the old style USB-A, and it can only handle 2.4 amps for those 3 all together combined. Whereas the Bluetti has 5 total. The first one is a USB-C port that is set for power delivery 100 watts. So basically you can charge a laptop, you can charge drone batteries, you can charge a small aircraft carrier, whatever you have. The other 4 ports are divided into 2 circuits each. Each circuit can handle 3 amps. So already just one of those pairs has way more power, well maybe not way more power, but it has more power than the Jackery. Number 2, the Bluetti has 4 AC outlets compared to the Jackery's 1. Enough said. Number 3, total power output. The Bluetti can put out 700 watts on all those AC outlets combined, whereas the Jackery, with its 1 little outlet, can only handle 500 watts. Okay, that's the power output, but what about power input? The Jackery can only handle 60 watts of input, and it only has 1 port. So that's whether it's using an AC adapter at home, solar panels when you're out on the road, or a car adapter in your car. The Bluetti, by contrast, has 2 ports. Each can handle 200 watts each. So you can have that AC adapter plugged into the wall, have it juicing up at 200 watts as compared to 60 watts. You can also have 200 watts of solar panels at the same time. So you can actually input 400 watts into this unit at the same time. You can also switch out those solar panels for a secondary AC adapter, plug it into another outlet, and charge with AC power at 400 watts. Number 5 on the list where the Bluetti is superior to the Jackery is charging time. The Bluetti lists its power charge time from 0 to 80% as 1 hour. So in 1 hour of an AC charge plugged into a wall, you can get about 80% of the power that the unit can use. The Jackery takes about 5 hours to get to 80%. And if you want to charge to 100%, the Jackery is going to take a little more than 7 hours to charge with a regular wall outlet charger. Whereas the Bluetti is going to take about 3.2 hours to charge to 100%. So it has a much faster charge time getting it up to 80%, and it's still faster by twice the time getting it all the way up to 100%. What if you got the Bluetti and bought the extra AC adapter to charge at 400 watts at a time? Now your total time from 0 to 100% is going to be roughly 2 hours. Number 6 on the list isn't even a comparison because the Bluetti has a wireless charger on top for your phone, and it can charge up to 15 watts wirelessly. It's quite handy when you have the USB power ports turned on. That top unit will also turn on. You can just place your phone and it'll start charging. The Jackery doesn't have any. Number 7 on the list, bigger light. If you look at the light on the Jackery as compared to the light on the back of the Bluetti unit, the Bluetti has a much wider, bigger, more diffused light, so it can be used as a lantern. It also has a flashing strobe in case you ever get lost, and this is your only method of signaling somebody. Moving on, charge cycles. Each of these manufacturers says that their battery is good for a certain number of charge cycles where it will still get up to 80% of its original capacity. Batteries degrade over time, so this is the best that they can do, saying, okay, you're going to be able to recharge it so many times before you can only get 80% of the battery. After that, I guess they consider the battery is useless. I don't know, but it gives you an idea of how quickly the battery is going to run down. The Bluetti says it will recharge 2,500 times before it gets down to about that 80% of its original capacity, whereas the Jackery lists theirs as 500 times. The last 2 items are just kind of little things, cosmetic things. The Bluetti has little covers for the 12-volt car adapter port, as well as the charging port. This helps keep dirt out of things. As for what colors are available for each unit, the Bluetti comes in 3 colors, whereas the Jackery comes in 1. They both come in orange, and the Bluetti comes in blue, appropriate enough, and black. Those are the areas where I feel the Bluetti is superior to the Jackery and makes it a much better buy. What about the things that are the same? First of all, there's the price. They're both about $500 each, although there is a coupon on Bluetti's website right now that has a $50 off offer. Second is the size. The Bluetti is actually a little bit heavier, about 3 pounds heavier than the Jackery, 16 pounds compared to 13 pounds, but they both take up about the same volume of space. The third is the displays on both of the units. They both have a little indicator showing how much battery life is left, and it is divided into 20% increments, as well as they have the total output as well as input watts currently being used. Both units have the same DC power output. These are direct current outputs, such as a car adapter, what you used to call a cigarette lighter adapter. And then they both have two 2.1 millimeter bullet plugs, basically. All three of these items together on both units can handle 12 volts at 10 amps. Both units have pure sine wave output for the AC side of things. This is really important when you're charging things like laptops or other sensitive equipment, that if you don't have the sine wave regulated well enough, you can actually damage your items that are plugged into the AC outlets. Last, both units come with a 2-year warranty. Now there is one area where the Jackery is superior to the Bluetti, and that's its ability to take a charge while it's also charging other devices. This is most handy when you have it in a car, for instance, and you have it plugged into the 12-volt adapter of your car. It's able to charge the unit and discharge at the same time, so you could have other things plugged into it and running. So you can use it kind of as a power strip with all those USB ports. Well, there's only 3 on the Jackery, but you can use all of those at one time while you're charging it. The Bluetti can't do this, unfortunately. It can only charge the DC side and discharge on the AC side. So if you have it plugged in to your car, for instance, and you're trying to charge it and you have some USB items plugged in, it's only going to power the USB items and it won't take a charge. So there is a chance that you could discharge it while you're using it, even though you have it plugged into your car. Wrapping it all up, the Bluetti EB55 is superior in about 8 different categories compared to the Jackery Explorer 500. The most important for me are the number of USB ports, as well as that power delivery 100 watt output. That can charge my MacBook Pro and it can charge my drone batteries, which both require only about 65 watts. So it actually has more than I can use right now. But I know a lot of laptops are able to take up to about 120 to 130 watts. So you won't be able to charge all the way up to their limit, but you're going to be able to get the most use out of that port as you can. Also, having those extra USB ports that have 3 watts per pair really makes for a better charging experience, and a lot more devices you can get charged a lot faster. Also, having those 4 different AC outlets, really big for me. 2 of those have that little space for the grounding plug. The unit's not grounded, so you shouldn't trust to the grounding, but at least you can plug in different things to those ports and not have to worry about the fact that you don't have the grounded plug, or you have a grounded plug and it's not there. Also important for me was the number of charges that I can get out of this unit. 2,500 cycles before it gets to 80% of the original battery is huge for me. That's if you charge it every single day. I can't do the math. 7 years maybe. You'd be able to use this every day, drop it to 0, charge it back up, and still have 80% of your battery 7 years later. Whereas the Jackery only has a cycle of 500 cycles before it gets to that 80%. All those things together, that is why I bought the Bluetti EB55 instead of the Jackery Explorer 500.